What's up guys, and welcome to a video I've been waiting to do for a very long time, because I will be comparing my 1991 original Acura or Honda NSX against a brand new 2019 NC1 NSX. And the goal is not to see which car is faster. I think we can all take a pretty reasonable guess on that. But I want to see if the new NSX, with all of its hybrid technology, can really live up to the NSX name, the new sports car experimental moniker that was given to this car when it first debuted in 1989. My car has completely unassisted steering. It's just a traditional rack and pinion with no assist. It's got a 5-speed manual transmission with a clutch pedal. I mean, this is about as raw of a car and driving experience as you can experience nowadays. So let's just take a quick little run here in the canyons with my car, just to refresh our memory on what made the original NSX so great. And then we'll hop into Travis's 2019 model and see how it stacks up. Yeah, you gotta drive this thing. You gotta heel toe downshift, you gotta rev match. It's a high revving, naturally aspirated V6 that revs to 8,000 RPMs. And you really gotta push it above 5,000 when the VTEC kicks in, yo. This car nowadays is not about the performance so much as it is about the character of the car, the fact that you have to work for the performance, and the fact that the car tells you exactly what it's doing. As I almost run over that deer. The joy of this car is more than just the driving dynamics. This was the first everyday supercar from basically any manufacturer. Honda really pioneered that term. And while I don't daily drive this car nowadays, there was a span of about a couple months when I did, and I have to say the car is amazing as a daily driver. The only gripe I had with it is the fact that there's no power steering, but other than that, the car is surprisingly plush. The stock suspension, while yes, it does look a little goofy with especially with the 17 and 18-inch wheels I have on this thing, it rides so well. And even in the canyons, it's a very analog feeling suspension, for lack of a better word. There's no adaptive dampers here, it's just a simple spring and shock combo. Just feel absolutely everything through the steering wheel and the seat of your pants when you drive one of these cars. The 360-degree visibility, the really fighter jet cockpit that they were going for is really incredible. I mean, you have perfect front visibility. You can place the front tires exactly where you want. Nearly 30 years after it first came out, it still is totally livable as an everyday car. The only thing that detracts from my ability to daily drive it is the fact that I installed a really loud exhaust on it. But that's because I want this car to feel like an event every time I drive it. I don't want it to simply be a commuter to get from point A to point B. So that's not to say that the original NSX isn't without its flaws. For example, Honda fitted way too small front tires and brakes for the overall performance level of the car, meaning the car actually isn't that friendly on track. It needs a lot of aftermarket modification to make it really enjoyable on a racetrack. Also, the stock suspension, while it feels really good on the street as well as in the canyons, on a racetrack it kind of falls apart because it's just a little too soft. There's a little bit too much body roll, and coupled with the not so effective limited slip differential, the car does exhibit a lot of inside tire wheel spin when you're really loading up that suspension and trying to put the power down coming out of a corner. The NSX, at least in stock form, is a car that doesn't really shine when driven at the absolute limit. So now that we've revisited my original NSX and gone through the list of all things I really love about it, its everyday supercar ability, how comfortable it is, as well as some of its shortcomings when driven at the limit. Let's keep all of these things in mind when hopping into the new NSX. All right, guys, so this is Travis here, and we are sitting in his 2019 NSX. I can't believe I'm finally sitting in one of these. It's been, what, like 3 years since they came out? And you used to have a 91 NSX,
yeah,
right?
For about 12 years.
12 years. So that's amazing. So talk to me about what drew you to sell that one and get this one.
I wanted something for track that had stability control, so I just needed to.
Okay.
So I wanted something newer and just with a little bit more power.
A little bit more, a little bit, just a little bit. 300 more horsepower. Are there any options on this car?
No. Only thing I ordered was the interior brake color and car color.
Really? MSRP is like what, 160?
I think yeah, about that.
Wow. Okay. Because I remember for a while, because they weren't selling very well, they were actually offering the cars below MSRP. Do you know if that's still a thing?
Pretty much most cars you can get a good discount on.
No way. Okay. Because I know like a year ago they were saying like they're selling just a handful a year in the U.S.
Yeah, I think looking on records, it's like 5 a month or something like that.
Right. I think we were talking about this earlier, like when the car first came out in 2016, 17, most of the reviewers were criticizing it because it wasn't, as raw as the original NSX, but like it's a 30-year newer car. There's no way you're going to have a manual transmission with unassisted steering and all that stuff, right? So I think what I'm most curious about is not so much the performance, but just how the car feels when I'm driving it, because obviously that car's super raw. Oh, did it just turn on?
Yeah, it's switching between EV and...
Oh, that's so cool. To just keep the battery charging?
Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, I'm really excited, and thank you so much, Travis, for letting me drive your car. Let's see if the new sports car experimental really lives up to that name. Wow, that's weird. We're in quiet mode right now, and the car is dead silent, using just electric power. Okay, enough of that. Sport Plus. Can't believe it's finally happened, guys. 2019 NC1 NSX. 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6, pushing out about 500 horsepower, an electric motor attached to the rear axle, and it's got a twin motor unit, so basically 2 motors at the front axle that can send positive or negative torque to the 2 front tires individually. So altogether, it produces a peak of 573 horsepower, 476 foot-pounds of torque, more than double the horsepower and torque of my car. Now, granted, this car weighs almost 3,900 pounds, so it's 800 to 900 pounds heavier than my car. Overall, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of the way the interior is designed. The R8 interior, the McLaren 570S, the Porsche 911. Those interiors are a bit more suited to my taste, but definitely still a nice cabin to sit in. All right, guys, let's put it into manual mode and start pushing it just a little. Holy crap, this thing's fast. The urgency with which the engine pulls from low RPMs because of those electric motors, I've never experienced that before. We almost hit a bird. This car's too fast. Since this is a 2019 model, it has been updated over the 2018. It's got larger front and rear anti-roll bars. The rear suspension toe link bushings are stiffened as well. Honestly though, what am I even talking about? Who cares? This car is freaking fast. Wow. Wow. Let's flip it over to track mode real quick. I want to see if that speeds up the transmission shift times a little bit, because sometimes when I downshift, it doesn't quite give me that gear as quickly as I want. I am getting sweat all over the steering wheel. Sorry, Travis. The car actually feels natural to drive. Even though the steering wheel is not connected to anything, neither are the brake pedal or the throttle pedal, the car still feels relatively analog and communicative. I mean, it's all relative, right? It's very, very precise. It's got good weight to it. It's not overly boosted, which a lot of manufacturers are guilty of doing nowadays. The throttle and brakes, honestly, I can't tell that they're completely digitized. They feel natural. The way this thing pulls out of corners is pretty mind-boggling. You don't feel that torque being shifted abruptly from corner to corner or side to side. You can tell the engineers at Honda really programmed this thing to just feel, again, natural. That's the word I keep using, and that's the best word to describe how driving this car feels. The suspension, I'm very pleased to say, is very, very compliant, just like the original NSX suspension. It's got a little bit of roll. You start feeling what the car is doing when you start getting either side of the suspension loaded up. And I mean, that's the way it should be. This is a road car, not a race car. Yeah. Some nice rotation there. I went completely silent for a minute because I was just having to concentrate. This car just changes my sense of speed, seriously. So capable. So much confidence mid-corner as well. The steering actually does communicate pretty well for an electric rack. Oh my goodness. Wow, the brakes are good. I was basically standing on the brakes there going downhill. Keep it in third gear through here. Keeping it in the lane to see how the car does with back and forth direction changes. Absolutely incredible. Second gear, long sweeper. Ooh, transmission had a little bit of a moment there where it wasn't sure if it really wanted to downshift on me or not. Transmission's not quite on the same level of responsiveness as the Porsche PDK, but it's not too far off either, especially in track mode. I want one of these things. I mean, I'll be completely honest, when this car was first announced, I was appalled. Electric motors, torque vectoring, 9-speed dual clutch transmissions, turbocharging, four-wheel drive, none of those things sound appealing to me. And they sound exactly like the opposite of what the original NSX provides in this day and age, which is a very raw, visceral analog driving experience. I will be the first to tell you I was wrong. I mean, driving this car back to back with mine, I can tell that Honda put a lot of emphasis not just on the performance again, but the driving feel, the character of the car. And in that sense, this is very much still an NSX. I mean, you have to think about what the N stands for in NSX, right? And the X. It's new sports car experimental. So this is a car that's using new technology and experimenting with it to see if it can make a car quicker and more fun to drive. And that is exactly what they've achieved with this car. And back in 1990, that's also what they achieved with the original NSX. That was the first Honda to have variable valve timing on the intake and exhaust valves, VTEC. It was one of the first cars to have anti-lock brakes. And just overall, it was the very first supercar to be daily drivable, livable on a daily basis, and reliable, which is something that Ferrari, Lamborghini, even to some extent Porsche simply couldn't offer at that time. And fast forward to now, this car is still pushing the envelopes of what a sports car can do. Really is taking the latest and greatest in automotive technology and putting it all together in one cohesive package. And it's just an absolute riot to drive. It seriously feels invincible out here. I've never found a lack of front end grip, rear end traction, braking power. I mean, it's all there. I think the only one minor complaint I have with it is sometimes the transmission doesn't want to give me that gear as quickly. For some reason, it's just not consistent when I pull the paddle. I'm a little breathtaking right now, I'll admit. This thing far exceeded my expectations. And I think that's where that whole mantra of everyday supercar really does play to the NSX's advantage. There's not a whole lot of cars out there that can offer this level of just overall refinement. I have not driven a Porsche 911 Turbo, none of the newer generations, the 991 or 992. So I'll reserve judgment on that for now, because I do hear those cars are incredible daily drivers as well as performers. Yeah, at least for me, this car is a game changer. Wow, it's in EV mode again. Interesting. That is so eerie. I'm pretty sold on hybrid technology being used to make cars faster and more fun. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm such an old school, like analog, manual transmission, naturally aspirated kind of guy, but this is the future. I can't even imagine what the next generation NSX is going to feel like. Just ridiculous. So that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. A big thank you to Travis for letting me experience the new NSX. Hope you guys enjoyed. See y'all next time.